Welcome to Joy of Business with host Simone Milicis, a dynamic business leader with a difference. Simone has founded and operated many businesses from a young age and has always done business differently. Today, Simone is the worldwide coordinator of Access Consciousness and travels the world presenting Joy of Business programs using access tools and empowering people to know that they can create business in a different way and make money doing it. Simone Milicis, weekly on OMTimes Radio.
Hi everybody, welcome to OMTimes with Joy of Business, and you're with Simone Milicis, your host. I'm actually at home at the moment in the Sunshine Coast in Australia, so it's nice, 6 a.m, the birds are out, the sun's just risen up, and I'm joined today with Susanna Mittermier, who I think, are you in Austria at the moment, Susanna?
Yes, Simone, I am in Austria.
Awesome. So I think it's like 10 p.m. or something like that. So I am super excited to have you here today. We've got the title of the show today is Tap into Your Brilliance and Create Your Business. Now, Susanna is a licensed clinical psychologist, psychotherapist, radio show host, access consciousness facilitator, author of her new book, Pragmatic Psychology, Practical Tools for Being Crazy Happy. I love the title of that book. I think it's brilliant. And she's a worldwide speaker, is creating a new paradigm with psychology and therapy, pragmatic psychology. So pragmatic psychologist Susanna Mittermier is known for her revolutionary perspective on mental illness and for inspiring people all over the world to access the greatness they are beyond abuse and disease. There is so much about this, and I love that you've created this as your business with pragmatic psychology. So you grew up in Venice, not in Venice, sorry, Vienna, Austria, Österreich. I used to live in Austria for a little while. As you know, my bad German. We won't give people my bad German. So I met you actually when you lived in Stockholm. And so tell me a little bit about how what got you interested in being a clinical psychologist, psychotherapist?
Honestly, I didn't even know I was interested in being a psychologist. It all started with me, having this sense of ease in my world since I was a kid, and always going, hey, life and creating whatever you want to create in life can be easy. And, so basically when I, started to, after high school, I'm like, so what do I want to do? And I had no idea what I wanted to do. I mean, there's some people have the fortune and know, I always knew that I wanted to be a lawyer. I always knew that I wanted to be a doctor. I didn't have that. So I didn't have what's the job that matches the energy of what I want to do. So I was one of those people who just tried, everything. I started to become a teacher. Then that didn't work out because I didn't finish that. And then I, did linguistics, philosophy. I tried so much and nothing really turned me on enough to go, okay, this really matches what I want to do. So and then I asked the question, those questions, brilliant. And so finally a question, and I'm like, so what is it I would like to create? And there was something coming up in my world, it's like this energetic awareness. And then I tried to, if I try to more what is that I'm aware of that I can create in the world? And it was something with showing people what's possible, like the ease that I know is possible, and then the ease that they somehow know is possible. And then I did the funny thing and asked, so what is the name of the job for that? And I had no idea. So I looked, so what's closest to that? And the best thing that I could come up with was to study to become a psychologist. And mostly because I would come from a family that would value academics. So I would look through that filter. And so I chose to study psychology and become a psychologist. And that was an interesting choice because it was not what I expected it to be. But I found a way to create it in a way that matches what I know is possible in the world. So this is how the whole journey started.
I love that you sort of worked backwards in a sense. Like you were like, okay, I'd like to actually, facilitate ease in people's lives. What's the name for that? I love the way that you did that. So that's awesome. So tell me a little bit about, because your book is brilliant, and it's like, I absolutely love the title. I can see some people, it's so light and airy, yet it really taps into something on a personal level, because it's called Pragmatic Psychology, Practical Tools for Being Crazy Happy. So it's like, tell me a little bit about the book and what people can find in the book.
So it sounds like the title sounds like really dry, like, oh, pragmatic psychology, like not, where you go, wee, right? And then like practical tools for being crazy happy. So I love that it's the both title parts are so different, and it really reflects what the book is about, and what also what the creation with pragmatic psychology in general is. It's just taking psychology to a new level. So the thing is, when I started to create, I would see that psychology would be something that's like, you have to understand, there's a problem. First of all, you say, okay, there is really a problem. It's like this conclusion of, oh, I have this and this going on, so I have a problem. And then you try to understand why you have a problem. And it's always combined with this dramatic nuance of, oh, there is something that I need to work at, and it's going to take me a really long time to work through it. I need to talk about it, and I need to go to therapy, and I need to, understand the wrongness of me. So the pragmatics of creation, or the pragmatic part of that, would be the letting go of the dramatics, letting go of the significance of what has been going on in your past, and moving to what actually works for you. So being pragmatic means do what works. The simplicity of that.
I'm laughing at you saying letting go of the dramatics, and it's like, I know of quite a few people who would find it very hard to let go of the dramatics. It's like, that's what keeps them going every day almost. So, but it's the same, like when I came across Access Consciousness and met Gary Douglas, the founder, it was like, oh my goodness, this is like when you just said finding out the wrongness of you. And it's like, I love the way you look at this, because it's like, there is no wrongness of you. And one of the things I love about Access Consciousness is it's not about going through the layers and going through the how and when this happened and, oh, Aunt Betty, when you were age 3, did this to you or anything. You may have the awareness of something that occurred that created a crunch in your universe, but it doesn't mean that you have to go through it and you have to call her and you have to confront this. It's just like, you can just change something. You can just choose something different. So I love that about that. So
exactly.
Some of the, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I love when you said about the dramatics and when you were laughing, because I like, it's really so true that people love the dramatics of it. And it's like, and it's not about not being able to have dramatics. It's more about knowing that you have a choice beyond it. I mean, you can enjoy, like, isn't it fun to sometimes just, if you have a relationship and you go for just having a fight and you just enjoy it because you can, and then you also have the choice to not do it. It's like, you can enjoy everything in life, even the dramatics of it, as long as oh, I have choice. I can change it in the next moment. So that's another part of like having the pragmatic twist even on the dramatic part.
So tell me about some of the practical tools for being crazy happy. Can you give people a couple of tools you have from your book?
Yeah. So crazy happy. So one of the elements of being crazy happy is to be willing to be happier than this reality finds normal. So there is like a level of being happy that is normal and okay. If you exceed that, people go, okay, you seem insane, or there must be something wrong with you, or come back and ground yourself, or
you'll take drugs.
You take drugs, exactly, or you're not quite, bright in your head or something. So there's like a level that's so easy, and it's really easy to exceed. And we all have this sense when we are in interaction with someone, you go out for lunch or you go out for dinner, meet some friends, and you have this sense of, okay, so this is how much they can take. This is how much of liveliness and joy in my world that they can take. And we all have this radar. We all know, okay, oh, I'm approaching the limit. Let's hold ourselves back just to fit in and to have the interaction as it always has been. And I actually realized that I was getting my nails done in New Zealand at one point. And it was one of my first experiences to ever get my nails done. And it's very hard for me to sit still for a long time and you know, like this polishing and everything they do. And so I was sitting there and I was being happy and I was, you know, oh, there's a person sitting in front of me. Let's talk, you know, let's just have, you know, I want to know what this person is doing. And she was absolutely not interested in talking. So I'm like, okay, cool. So, but I was being this joy and I noticed that that was way too much for her. And I noticed how she was just shutting down. And I went for myself, okay, cool. That's an interesting information. This person in front of me is like uncomfortable with the level of joy and liveliness I'd be. What if I don't shut down just because I'm aware of her world? What if I be that joy no matter if she can receive it or not? And this is where I realized that being crazy happy is being willing to be happy whether others can receive it or not, and not make yourself less or shut down in the face of other people's receiving or lack of receiving. So what that resulted in is very funny because she got my nails done really fast. She really speeded up so she could get me out of there, which really worked for me.
Get this crazy happy person away from me. So, well, I'm so grateful that you've written this book, and I'm so grateful that these tools are available, because it's like it's a travesty to see people actually cut out the joy that they have in their life and the happiness that they have. I mean, we used to have it when we were a kid, and then somewhere, like you said, we try and be normal, average, and real. And if you look at it, we're not normal, average, and real. So we're going to go to a break, and we're going to come back, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the pragmatics of creation with Susanna Mittermier on Joy of Business, and you're with Simone Millises. We'll be back really soon.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Live with medium Lisa Phoenix, Mediumship Messages and Musings, explores mediumship and all things metaphysical. Lisa Phoenix invites you to reach above and beyond your everyday experiences, to explore new dimensions in the spirit world. She will do live readings to connect callers to their loved ones in spirit, shares engaging stories and teachings from her own personal experience, and will have intriguing conversations with other mediums, spiritual teachers, and healers to help you understand the metaphysical world so you can connect to these forces in your day-to-day life. Join your host on this magical and metaphysical journey into the world of spirit every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time.
Hi, my name is Monica and I'm the host of Co-Creating Now. Give yourself an opportunity to connect with your all-knowing higher self and manifest joy, love, and peace together every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Hi, everybody. You're with Simone Millicent on Joy of Business. Welcome back. And today we have the wonderful Susanna Mittermier. Now, just in case you want to know more about Susanna, you can go to her website. I'm going to spell it for you. It's SUSANNAMITTERMAIER.com. And if you also want to go to Joy of Business, access Joy of Business Facebook page or our website, you can listen to this show again too, and you can also find the link to her website, and you can find her on accessconsciousness.com. So there you go. So we were talking about that it's literally a travesty for people to not being the joy that they are, you know, in their life. And it's like I said, it's like, you know, you see kids that are just like, woohoo! And it's like, you know, they're willing to jump off anything, do anything. And then their parents are like, don't do that. You might hurt yourself. Don't do this, da, 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 da. Or you must be quiet. Or you must be, you know, and it's like this reality sort of seems to like step in and crush it rather than actually, if you were being you, what would you choose? So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about too is like, what's the pragmatics of creation? What do you see that as, Susanna?
Brilliant. I love how you talk about the kids and how they're not cutting off their joy and also their creativity, like the capacity to create. And so one of the elements in that, and that also leads to the pragmatics of it, is like when kids create, they don't have that sense of it should look a certain way, it should, you know, have a certain outcome. They're like, okay, so what's the joy of what we can create in a moment? And it's like the sandcastle or whatever play it is. And then they have this willingness to let it go and not have this linearity of, okay, so I have a business plan and this is how my business is going to look in 5 years. So like the solidity that we have learned to do, which in this reality is supposed to be normal. You're supposed to have a download, a total vision, you know, you're supposed to have it all down with how it's supposed to look like, because you're supposed to be able to talk about it. You're supposed to be able to communicate about it. And you're supposed to be able to tell your friends, this is my business plan. And this is, you know, or investors or whatever you work with. This is normal. So what's been added here in the conversation we're having here, and what I learned so much from Joy of Business, is to be willing to add that part that seems so crazy in this world, which is the joy of it. The joy of creation, the joy of letting it go when it's time to let go, the time to move on when it's time to move on, and not holding on to linearity of things. And this seems so crazy. So it's the willingness to add that crazy part to your life, which for me has added like this huge expansion of everything I'm doing in the world. And that is being pragmatic. It's doing what works. It's looking, okay, so what do I have going on for me that I can use to my advantage? And like, I've been looking at, you want to say something?
No, I was just going to say, I love that description you gave of pragmatic.
So, and I've been looking,
It's like doing what works. It's like pragmatic, doing what works. Yeah, I love that. Okay, so I think we lost you for a little bit there, Susanna, but I'm sure that you were saying something wonderful.
I can hear. Yeah.
So, but one of the things too that I love that
and exactly
the pragmatics is doing what works for you. So for me too, it's about the willingness to choose in 10-second increments. And it's like the willingness to be totally present with your business, with the person in front of you, or whoever that is, or whatever you're creating. And it's like, what if creation was done in 10-second increments? Like you were saying, it's like, it's not about, I mean, yes, you can have a business plan. You can do that, but don't make it significant. It's like not making it something that has to be there. It has to be in place. You can have an awareness of what you would like the future to be, and keep choosing based on that. It's like, what if you were willing to change every moment of the day? And it's like your business does not have to stay the same. You don't have to stay the same. Not one day is the same as it was, the day before, or never does a day actually show up the way you think it's going to show up. It's like everything is always different. So I love that. So tell me, what's some of the tools that you've learned with creation, and what's so different about creation for you?
So it's for me, it's a lot about using what's here already. And it's being willing to be so present in your life that you're willing to receive those parts that seem like too small. Like we always go for, first I have to have the money and then I can create, or first I have to know everything perfectly before I can create, rather than going, well, what is it I right now have going on for me that I can use to my advantage? So, like, for example, people have these parts of themselves that they have decided is so crazy about themselves, or too different, that you can ask, so what is this thing I kept judging about myself that seems so wrong that I can use for me? So for me personally, for example, it was, I many times in my life got judgments of, you're not realistic enough.
Susanna, are you there?
Just cut it out. Oh, okay. Is it good? Okay, your internet went off, so I just keep on talking. Sorry. So, like for ADHD, for example, is this amazing capacity to have lots of energy in your body and have a lot of have the capacity to have a lot of things going on at the same time. So like ADHD would be wrongness in this reality. It would be diagnosed as, like a diagnosis. But if you look at, so what creative capacity does it allow you to be, you can actually use it to your advantage. Because, I've worked with many people with ADHD who have many businesses going on because they have that capacities of doing many things and having their attention on many different things, because they need many things to keep them going. They would be bored if they would just have one business at the time.
Which
so
is something, like, Susanna, that
yeah.
I know has always been a judgment. Like one of the things, I did so many different things. Like, I mean, now it's like, okay, I work with Access Consciousness. I've got Joy Business, and I've got some other revenue streams that I'm looking at creating as well, always. But when I was younger too, it's like I did so many different jobs, did so many different things, and people were always like, oh, she can't settle down. She can't stick to one thing. She can't do that. And it was like, no, I just wanted to do all of these different things. And I wanted to work in all these different industries and experience all these different people and all the different ways that people created and all the different ways you could make money and all the different ways that you could, have fun, travel, be everywhere. But it was always looked upon as not stable. And it's like, so what if you were willing to be not stable? So everywhere that you've decided that you have to be stable in your life, your business, your relationship with money, everything, will you destroy and uncreate it? Times a godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. That statement is a clearing statement from Access Consciousness. You can find more about it on my website, accessjoybusiness.com, or also on theclearingstatement.com. Basically, it gets you out of those places where you're finding anything that's limiting you, and especially judgments. It's like, judgments are projected upon you so much. And it's like, I love this pragmatic psychology of being crazy happy. It's like, what would it take to be crazy happy in your life rather than functioning from the judgment and the wrongness of you, which is funny too, because I wanted to ask you about psychology as a whole. It's like most people look at that as, if you go to a psychologist, there's something wrong with you, especially in Australia. It's like, you know, it's got to be like, ooh, something's really, you know, they've really stuffed up in their life. They've got to go to a psychologist. So it's like, is that the sort of, you know, the main point of view, or what can we change about that?
It is. And it's so funny because it's really worldwide. It's like you don't go to a psychologist to find out, oh, what capacities do I have? What do I have going on for me? What creation, you know, what's possible for me to create? It's like people don't do that. And then, so people, it's, as you say, worldwide, people go to a psychologist, a therapist, because they think there's something wrong with them, which is such an like, isn't it an interesting world we live in? It's like, oh, let's start with the wrongness of us. What if we could change the world so much that people actually start the day with, oh, what's right about me I'm not getting? Or, oh, what's possible to create today? And where every doubt that comes flying your way, you just go, oh, that was cute. Okay, let's move on anyway. So that's the world that I would like to create. And I know we're on our way.
That's the world I would like to create too. I love that. So do you actually do private sessions, etc. as well, Susanna?
Yeah, I do. So many of them are on Skype or, you know, online, because there's so many people worldwide and you just, you know, can't be everywhere at the same time.
Right. And I love that then. Okay, so you can contact you, Susanna Mittermier, if you'd actually like to find out what your capacities are. Not what the wrongness of you is. So you may be different. And it's like, and people may be projecting judgments at you, and you may not be doing what is normal, average, and real in this reality. So that's the place, that's the time that you can make a different choice and actually find out what are your capacities. And like Susanna was sort of, you know, hinting on before, it's like, what if the things that you've made a wrongness are actually the value of you? What if they're the rightness of you? I mean, if you look at X-Men, the movies, and it's like, you know, their skills and talents were like, oh, can't you stop them, like their parents? It's like, can't you make this go away? Rather than like, wow, what a capacity. What else is possible with you? So what capacities do you have that you haven't been willing to claim and acknowledge, that if you did claim and acknowledge it, could show up as a totally different reality? Everything that is times a godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad. Pop and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Okay, we're off to a break and we'll be back soon.
Yay!
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business. Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Radio Namaste leads you down the yellow brick road into portals of consciousness with the blue collar goddess as your host. Interviews with humans who could be famous or just popular, and answers to everything are on the agenda. Tune into OMTimes Radio and drop in on Thursdays at 3 Eastern. It's a different brand of enlightenment.
What if living didn't have to be so serious?
What if you could move beyond your problems with greater confidence and ease than you've ever imagined?
Throw your labels out the window and join the Irreverent Therapist for practical tips and a very different way of approaching the changes you would like to create.
Marilyn Bradford
and Pam Hodling
have empowered hundreds of people to come out of self-judgment, quit looking to experts, and begin to create the lives they desire.
Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Irreverent Therapist Show.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Joy of Business with Simone Millicis. I'm in Australia and I've got Susanna Mittermier in Austria, in Vienna, Austria. And we were just listening to the adverts and it was interesting. I'm like, oh, that sounds like a great show. And it was like, that sounds really light. And it's Pam Hortling and Marilyn Bradford, who we both happen to know. And it was like, oh wow,
Yes.
That's Pam and Marilyn. So I highly recommend that you listen to their show, The Irreverent Therapist. They have the same point of view as us. Be happy, change the world. Be you, change the world. So I wanted to go a little bit further into creation. And there's so many different aspects that we can look at with creation. One of the things that was interesting for me the other day, I had a conversation with Gary Douglas, and I was, I've worked with Gary for like 14 years now. I'm so grateful, the founder of Access Consciousness. And I was asking him about where someone was functioning from, and I was like, tell me more about it, because I could feel this like clunk in their world, and it was like, what is that? And he said, well, does she know how to create? And I was like, oh, no, like not nearly as much as what most people I know. And he said, so if somebody doesn't know how to create, what they'll go to is control. And I was like, oh, God, that makes so much sense, because what they were doing was literally holding on to this project and not willing to let go of it. So then how do I manipulate it? Now, if you're not willing to manipulate, you'll end up being the one manipulated. So I've been dealing with her going, she is doing a fabulous job, but I need her to let go of some of the pieces so that we can create a much bigger picture here. So, but with that piece of information, it's like, then, it really helps me. And it's like, then there was another conversation I had with somebody else, and they said were asking me for assistance with someone. And I said, well, can they create in this area? And it's like, and gave them the same tools. And I said, what happens is she tends to create from linearity rather than creating from space. Now, I know this is one of the things that you talk about too, Susanna. So, what tools or what information do you have on the difference of creating from linearity and then creating from the sense of space?
Great. I love that question. Thank you so much. And this is truly like Joy of Business meets pragmatic psychology. I love it. It's like, how does it get any better than that?
And then they have babies, and then what shows up?
Yes,
a much better world.
That created the world. Exactly. Oh, I'm just getting pictures in my head. So, so the fun part of this is it like seems so like the control part. It seems like this is what's required to create, and we've learned that all our lives. It's like all this reality tells us is you need to have control to create. So, we have learned all the strategies of having control, like to-do lists, like pushing information at people, giving them more than they can receive, making sure, have you done this? Have you done this? Or using anger to control or force or whatever. It's all those things that we think this is the way we make sure things are getting done, like really getting done, as though that is creation. It's this point of view of completion. And then it's just like in sex. If you have sex and you think it's about completion, it's not that sexy, right? It's not that creative. But if you actually go and play and go, okay, so what now? Being the question every moment, that is a way greater invitation to expansion in all areas of your life than you can imagine. So I remember that when I was asking for my business to expand, and I'm like, oh, universe, what would it take for my business to expand? And, ask and you shall receive. But the way things show up, as our friend Dr. Dane here says, it's not always the way you think it does. And sometimes it's like, are you really aware what you're asking for? So I had one of those moments when I was asking for greater business, and then it showed up in so many things coming my way. One of the ways was like my email box was just exploding. And I grew up in a German country where I'm used to getting everything done and being super efficient and not missing a thing, kind of like a bit OCD. Or very much so. So having an explosion in my email box was terrible for me, because suddenly I couldn't keep up anymore. And I was getting had panic and getting stressed and, oh my God, and I cannot answer all these people. So, and then I was like, okay, so stop. I'm doing panic here. what else is possible here? And then I remembered, what did I actually ask for? Oh, I asked for a bigger business. And then I realized, okay, wow, so what if I actually receive what I just asked for, which is an expansion of everything? And what if I was willing to let go of the control and the necessity to control it all? Would that actually allow me to ooze into the expansion of what I've asked for? So, and this was a huge stretch for me. This was truly one of the most uncomfortable things ever, to let go of control and not having to do it all and having to do it all perfectly. So what I was running, the process was, what energy, space, and conscious can I be to be totally out of control, out of form, structure, linearity, and concentricities for all eternity? Or did I truly be? And everything that doesn't allow that, I destroy and uncreate it. Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all 9 shorts, boys, and beyonds. I was running that baby like at least 20 times a day, even not, I think way more than that, but absolutely at least.
So
and
one of the things that I see that people do too then, is when they get to that place of the email box being so full, is instead of asking a question and instead of acknowledging what they've asked for, as you did, they start destroying the possibilities that are showing up. They start destroying all the future possibilities that can be possible, because they start to destroy what's happening now. And it's like, so what the tools can you give people to get them out of that place of destroying the now, which what can show up in the future and what they've actually asked for? I mean,
exactly. So one of the tools you can use is to, in that moment when you've asked for something, and then you go, well, but because it doesn't show up the way you think it does, or it doesn't show up as fast as you think it does, or it doesn't seem to show up at all, like any of these where you kind of like want to go into the wrongness. So one of the greatest tools here is to like stop right there, stop, like really go, okay, I'm going into the wrongness. And then you have like this, there should be an app for that actually. Someone should have an app, like a wrongness app, like this big alarm thing going off when you're going into the wrongness of whatever shows up in your life. Actually, that would be really awesome.
Actually, do you know what? A friend of ours, Katarina Valentin in Sweden, she's come up with this idea, and I think we're going to put it together. It's the, we're actually getting it out. It's, what's it called? The most annoying app ever. It's called the most annoying app ever. And the whole idea is that you said it, like every 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 minute, hour, whatever it is, the question comes up on your phone, who does this belong to? So that every time you're like every thought, feeling, and emotion and everything that's going on for you, it's like, this question comes up of who does this belong to? Because guess what, guys? It's not yours.
Brilliant. So, I love it. I didn't know that you guys are creating this app. That is so cool.
Yeah.
And that's like the biggest thing you can do for yourself. As soon as you have this wrongness in your world of things not showing up the way you wanted, not being as fast as you wanted, blah, 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 whatever, you just go, stop. No. What is actually going on here? What is changing here already that I haven't acknowledged? Like, change that thing, that wrongness, into a question. What is going on here that I haven't acknowledged? Because then you open the doors again and things can show up and you can receive what you actually asked for.
Nice. Now, can you talk a little bit more about how, like, one of the things that I notice with procrastination, people always go into, I'm procrastinating. And it's like, my point of view is that you really don't procrastinate. It's always, whenever I find that there's that energy of what you would describe as procrastination, there's always something else. Like, I'm always asking questions of like, okay, so, who else do I have to speak to? Is the project for now? Or it's like, would there be a better time to do this or something? And most of the time, something else shows up that generally makes the project or the business easier than if I had done it when it was on my to-do list for the things. So it's like, what if there was no procrastination? So how do you see procrastination? How does pragmatic psychology see procrastination?
So again, do what works. So what I realized is I do procrastination. It's for me a hard word to say. When I don't want to do it, when I've decided I have to do it, when I'm creating force in my world and a necessity of doing it, rather than going, actually I have choice. It's when I pretend that I don't have choice. And I function really, really bad when I force myself to do things or when I have to-do lists or a necessity. I just can't bring myself to do it. So then I just play with myself and go, okay, everywhere I've decided I have to do this, all the necessities I've created, I destroy and uncreate it. And I use the POD and POC, I use the access consciousness clearing statement to get myself out of that thing that I have decided I have to do. And then I just remind myself that I have choice. I would do this like when I was working in psychiatry and I had a full-time job. It's I went into this point of view that I have to go to work. And then I ask, so who am I being here? Whose life am I trying to live here? And I would POD and POC myself on the way to work and go, everywhere I've decided I have to go to work, all the necessities, everywhere I pretend I don't have choice, I would destroy and uncreate. And I would use the clearing statement as often, as many times until I came to the space of choice again. And then I went, okay, now I'm choosing to go to work. I'm committing to being at work today. And that just opened up so much space for creation and also receiving different possibilities. Like, oh, there's a different way I can talk with this patient. Oh, I can add this to my therapy session. And like I had more ideas that way than I would have when I went into the necessity.
So basically you have more of you have more creative capacity, you have more generative capacity when you function from choice rather than function from necessity.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Yes.
I love it. I've got a great example of also if you're functioning from choice, and it's like so most people, if they say they're a vegetarian or something, they'll say they're a vegetarian, they don't eat meat, and it becomes a necessity to function from what you would call a no-choice world, rather than actually every day you could choose not to eat meat. It's like I prefer not to eat meat. So it's like, that's a really classic example, but it's like where else are you creating this no-choice world rather than having infinite possibilities, infinite choice, and not doing something or choosing something based on a necessity? So everything that is, let's destroy and uncreate it, for right and wrong, good and bad,
yes.
all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So we'll be back really soon with Susanna Mittermier and Simone Millis's on The Joy of Business with Tap into Your Brilliance and Create Your Business.
Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on OMTimes Radio. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake. Being a radio host on IOM-FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Know what to do, just can't figure out how to fit it all into your busy life? It doesn't have to be that way. Hi, I'm Ellen Baisberg from Seamless Life. Join me every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio and learn the how of conscious living. Let me and my guests help make your life seamless.
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Alaya, in the circle on Sunday 2 p.m. Eastern as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Hey everybody, welcome back to The Joy of Business with Simone Millicis. I must be waking up. It's now 6:47 a.m. and Susanna Mittermier. So one of the things I wanted to mention is that you actually have a class coming up in Chicago, the Windy City, from the August the 7th to the 9th in its Advanced Pragmatic Psychology class with Susanna, and it's also with Gary Douglas, who is the founder of Access Consciousness. So it's like, woohoo! This is the first time ever that you'll be doing this class with Gary, and the prerequisite for it is Foundation and Level 1. So BAR's Foundation Level 1 of Access Consciousness. So you can jump on the accessconsciousness.com site and you can find a local facilitator and do BAR's Foundation Level 1. You can also, for the first time ever, Gary Douglas and Dr. Dane here are doing Foundation 1 together in May in Australia. So you could always come over to Australia. I'll be there. Come meet me in class. Or you can also jump on live stream. So you can do it from your computer, from, you know, your TV at home. So the comfort of that. And there's a whole lot of what we call pods going on all over the world too. So you can check that out. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about in this last segment here is knowing. And now we have a quote here from Gary Douglas, and he says, psychology used to be the study of knowing. And what happened is we went from the study of knowing to the study of behavior. Pragmatic psychology is about using the study of knowing as a way of creating something that's greater than what we can do by trying to control behavior. So it's a quote for Gary for the upcoming class from the 7th to the 9th of August in Chicago. So can you talk a little bit more, Susanna, about using your knowing and how you go about that, and what does that look like? And I mean, we're not taught to go with our knowing. We're taught to think it out, you know, work it out. And it's like, work out the pros and cons, you know, work out the pros and cons, etc. So what's knowing about?
Yeah, exactly. So what we have learned, like the pros and cons, and think it out and figure it out, and this thinking stuff and making it logical and making it make sense, that's the hard work that we have learned is valuable. So knowing would be just the lightness of, oh, I know. And it's something we haven't been acknowledged, that this is something that's valuable and this is something you can use to create. So truly, like, the pragmatics of it is making it easy and making it the way so it works for you. And like using and accessing your knowing is where things become easy. You start to create not by, oh, should I do this job or should I take this job? And then you try to figure it out. It's just like, okay, what do I know? If I create this project with this person, what would that create for the future? What would my life be like 20 years from now or 5 years from now? And if I don't do it, what will my life be like 5 or 20 years from now? And you just, it's a muscle that you can start to practice, because if you haven't been acknowledged or trained to do that, it's where you use this knowing, and we all had it in our lives. It's like you just knew things, and every time you trusted that and followed that, things would expand in your life. When you tried to force things into existence that someone has decided is the right thing for you to do, things would contract. So I would recommend for all you guys listening, look through your life. When in your life have you been using your knowing and accessing your knowing? And what did that create in your life? Like just those, oh, this is what creates expansion in my life. And then look at those times when you made somebody else's point of view more valuable and listen to that and made that more real. What did that create in your life?
So you knew you were going against your knowing, basically. If you make somebody else's point of view more valuable, and it's like, rather than going, because you always, I mean, how many times do you hear people say, oh, I knew that was going to happen, or I knew that wouldn't work, or I knew this, and it's like, okay, so what if you actually followed your knowing? What else could show up? Yeah.
Exactly. And then it's not so much about if you behave the right way, if you said the right words to this person, and if you did the right thing. It's more that you know that if you trust yourself, things will expand. It's like, you know, when it's not a good idea to go out with a certain person or whatever. You just know it, but you know what it creates when you go against your knowing, and you know what it creates when you actually trust your knowing. We've all been there and done that.
Yes, we have. So how do you use your knowing to create? I mean, I know you just used the tool then of like asking, so where will my business be? Where will my life be in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, 20 years' time if I choose this? And it's like, so how else can you use, and like when you ask that question, it's like, I get there's an energy, like you'll see, like either, I mean, so if you just practice and it's like, okay, if I choose this, where will my business be? Where will my life be in 5 years' time? And it's like, you can either feel this like clunk and this sort of contraction, like a heaviness, or there's a lightness to it. And one of the tools that we talk about in Access Consciousness is, you know, if something feels lighter, it's usually right. And if something feels heavier, it's like, maybe you might want to make another choice. And it's like, maybe there's a different possibility available, or ask another question. Because it could be like, okay, so is this choice for now, or is it for the future? So those questions are absolutely imperative to keep asking. So have you got any other tools about how to use your knowing to create?
So one of the things that comes up when you say that is letting go of the need to force things into existence. That's one of the major things I've learned with using the Access Consciousness tools and that creation part. It's like when you have the sense you need to force something into existence, ask again if now is the time. It's now the time to create this project. Is there something else that needs to be changed? It's like you use your awareness, your knowing to know, okay, you actually talk to the things, you talk to the project, you talk to the creation. It's a business or a garden or a relationship, whatever creation it is, you talk to that thing which has a life form of itself, and it will tell you, oh, okay, this is what I require. This is the contribution I need. And you know when it's time to act, and you know when it's time to not act, rather than just going like full bulldozer, forcing things into existence to make sure it's happening. This is one of the ways how you can create with more ease, and trust that the universe has your back. Trust that things show up when you ask for them, and notice that every time you think they don't show up, or you think they do not show up fast enough, you stop the creation, because you're creating a point of view that's stopping things. So like the trust and the lightness and the ease, like Joy of Business talks about, that's just brilliant, because it brings that, oh, I can actually relax. It's that relaxation. People use so much lack of relaxation to stop creation or make it harder. It's like the relaxation where you can ooze into the possibilities you're asking for. That's that space, that ease, and the knowing that you can use to actually create your life.
I like it when you say ooze. So, you know, one of the things I was looking at the other day, I was like, gosh, words are amazing, because words create so much limitation and so much misguidance of where someone is actually functioning from. And I was just, you know, when you have those moments, I think I was in the shower or something, and I was like, I wonder what our world would look like if we didn't have words, like if we still functioned from the energetics of our awareness, the energetics of our knowing. And it's like, so it's like if you look at that, and it's like if you don't look at what someone is saying, the words that are coming out of their mouth, and rather look at the energy that is coming out. And it's like, would you be willing to follow the energy, be willing to follow what you know? And it's like, it's a quicker way to access your knowing. Because in truth, like when Susanna before clicked her fingers, it's like your knowing is that quick. And it's like, and we usually know something, and then we go into the thinking about it. So, I mean, in Access, we say, if you're thinking, you're stinking. And it's like, what if you didn't have to think about it? It's like, what if you knew? Because you know so much more than what you've been willing to acknowledge. And it's like your brain only knows, like, you know, what it's been and done before. Okay, so that's the logical mind. And it's like, so with the logical mind, you can only create what you've been and done before. And it's like with your knowing, you can access a whole lot more. So everywhere that you've been functioning from your logical mind, instead of your awareness, instead of your knowing, where you destroy and uncreate it.
Yes.
Times of God's alien, right and wrong, good and bad, pop and pot, all night, shorts, boys and beyonds. Oh, you can feel all the bodies just going, oh, yes, nice. And it's like, because your bodies want to come and play with you as well. It's like they know so much more than what you know. And we tend to override it. And it's like, you know, when your body gets that, and And it's like that, don't go in there, or don't park over there, or don't walk down that street, or don't walk into that bar, or whatever it is. And you're like, no, it's fine. And you totally override everything. And your body has a sense of what's coming before you've been willing to acknowledge it. And it's like, what if you were actually willing to, have your body as your new best friend and play with it and have the awareness and the knowing of what's possible and what the future can be for you, your business, your life, your living, your relationships, your money, everything. And everything that is times a godzillion, where you destroy and uncreate it.
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So, Susanna, we are almost at the end of our show. So can you let people know again how they can get in contact with you if they actually want to book a session to find out what their capacities are rather than find out where they're wrong?
Yes, it's www.susannahmittermier.com or email info@susannahmittermier.com. And, just at the end, like one of the tagline of Gary and the class that Gary and I are facilitating is now the time to lose your mind.
Now, I say yes, now is the time to lose your mind. Hey, I just want to spell that out for people because it is a bit of an odd name. So it's Susanna Mittermier, Susanna Mittermier, Mittermaier. Now, you can also find her on the accessconsciousness.com website. If you look up facilitators and look up Susanna Mittermier, you'll find her there. That class with Gary Douglas and Susanna is on from the 7th to the 9th of August in Chicago. So I'd love to invite you to that because it's I love that tagline. It's brilliant. How does it get any better than that? And maybe you could actually be the happy person that you truly be. What if that was a possibility? What if everything you knew was possible could actually show up now? So thank you so much, Susanna, for joining us here today. And you're with Simone Millicis on The Joy of Business. And we'll see you next time, 4 p.m. Eastern on Mondays. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everybody.